Thanks to the support as a channel member, Ryan Duffy. Well, our Champions League campaign so far hasn't exactly got off to the best of starts. We need to turn that around today. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 5 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a game for you in the Champions League at home to Shakhtar, and we're also away against Valencia in La Liga. Since you were last with me, we have started to climb up the La Liga table a little bit. As you can see, we've got Aspas scoring, sort of. 5 goals now in 11 appearances, still averaging below a 7, but you know what? He's scoring at a goal every other game. That's not too bad, especially because the goals are now starting to come a little bit more frequently after that slow start. I think since the last episode, did you see Villarreal? I think you saw the Villarreal episode or Villarreal match last episode. He then scored in the next match as well and then got a couple more in that win. So some key goals from him, but we are continuing to struggle in the Champions League. We managed to pick up a win over Roma, an important win over Roma, but we are still down in 22nd place, 3 games in, which is on the cusp of elimination. We have to finish in the top 24 in this new style Champions League in order to qualify for the knockout rounds. If we can get into the top 8, we skip the first knockout round and get to jump a little bit further into things. So ideally, we'd move up there. We are still a little bit iffy, though. At any moment, we can turn in just a rubbish performance. And we did against Real Valladolid, where we lost 1-0 and just looked like we were never going to score all day long. But luckily, once you get outside the top 5 or 6 teams in La Liga, the rest of the league is fairly beatable. So even though I would say we are still struggling to find our feet, we're not close to where I would want us to be or where I'd expect us to be as Barcelona, we have moved up into the top 4, into the Champions League qualification spots, which means the board are cutting me a little bit more slack than previously. They're pleased with what we're doing in La Liga, or they're satisfied, and they're pleased with me challenging in the Champions League, even though we're absolutely not. But hopefully we pick up a win today and start to move a little bit closer towards that top 8, which is where a team like Barcelona should be. Spurs are up there, for goodness sake, and there's Preston somewhere lurking around just outside it as well. So this is the team that we are going to send out for this game against Shakhtar, a must-win Champions League game. We've got Simon in goal, a back four of Balde, Lazarov, Araujo and Koundé, De Jong at the base of the midfield, Gavi and Diaz ahead of him, Zaballos on the left, Fati on the right, Aspas up front. We're slowly getting closer towards, I won't say a settled team, because we are still rotating a fair bit. We've got a lot of football going on, so I think we've probably got 16, 17 players that I'm learning to trust and use and kind of rotate around. We certainly need another striker. As much as I would love Jonathan Tamang to be everything I ever hoped he would be, I suspect he probably isn't going to be, or at least not yet. He's not ready for Barcelona. He was loaned out by Preston, after all. He might end up brilliant in 2 or 3 years' time, but I don't think we can really rely on him as an attacking option. So it's kind of Aspas or nothing at the moment. So the priority, I think, for January has to be to try and find a striker to rotate with Aspas. But everywhere else in the team, we pretty much have some decent rotation options going on now. And as you can see, we're not even playing Pedri today. So that's fancy. That shows how good we are. We're not playing Pedri, and we're still, hopefully, going to pick up the win. Gavi with the free kick. It's Fati with the header towards goal, and it bobbles clear, or bobbles free to Araujo, who is there to tuck away the rebound. It's 1-0 to Barcelona, and hopefully we can go on and pick up a comfortable win now. I don't really know how good Shakhtar are. I would like to think they're a team that we should be capable of beating relatively comfortably. They're down in 27th in this table at the moment. And as you can see, a win here as it stands would put us up into the top 8, where we should be as Barcelona. So fingers crossed we can put that slow start to this Champions League campaign behind us. This is a very fancy little corner routine. We don't often mess around with doing the short corners because we normally massively balls them up, but maybe we're finally now at a team where the intelligence of the players is high enough to be able to cope with doing short corners and not immediately being offside. Anyone who's ever experimented with short corners in Football Manager knows the most typical thing that happens is you play it short and then the guy who receives it gives it back to the corner taker, and then he's then offside, which is very frustrating. But Frenkie de Jong did quite well, setting up Zeballos there, and Aspas has scored again. I think the Aspas taking his time to settle in issue might finally be over, which is, I mean, I am breathing a sigh of relief. I think it was in the previous episode, I repeatedly said, I don't really understand why it wasn't clicking for him. He looks like he's got everything you would want a decent, so I mean, arguably a top level La Liga striker to have. He's got it all, and hopefully he's now actually starting to demonstrate it. Let's get straight on with the second half. I mean, I'm distracted by the fact that we're dropping down out of this top 8 again as everyone else starts to go ahead in their games. So there's still plenty of work to do. 8 games you play in the Champions League stage. We've still got Tottenham to play. Tottenham will be tomorrow's episode as we get to play against the current European champions and, of course, the team that Kev built. So that's going to be an interesting battle tomorrow. And because of how the start to our campaign has been, we're kind of going into that Tottenham game with a lot more pressure on it than we would have had ordinarily, because we can't afford to drop any more Champions League points, really. We want to be in this top 8. Fati is in, and that's a lovely finish from Ansu Fati. It's 3-0, and this is much more like it. We're starting to feel a little bit like Barcelona. It took us a little bit of a while to settle into a system that works, a combination of players that works, but that is a sensational through ball from Gavi, and Fati is there to tuck it home with a very, very tidy finish. And like I say, we're actually starting to look like Barcelona. Gavi is pulling all the strings from central midfield. 2 assists for him today. A lovely goal there for Fati. Aspas has scored as well. Everything that I was panicking about and worried about is starting to resolve itself, which is very positive. Let's bring La Cruz on in midfield. We're also going to bring on Pereira, the left back that we brought in the summer and haven't really used a huge amount of, and Torres can come on that left-hand side. Ferran Torres, I think, is someone who, if we do have to sell in order to buy a striker, I wouldn't be against selling Ferran Torres. There is a little bit of interest in him. He's 30 years old now. I'm probably open to letting him go. We're going to bring on Temel as well, and then for the final change, I think we bring on Thailand Bullet to play as the box-to-box midfielder. The one player still not clicking, which doesn't make any sense at the moment, Carmine Agostini, who should, similar to what I was saying about Aspas, you look at him, he should be outstanding, and he just isn't yet. But we don't need to rush him. We've got Koundé and De Jong as the players who can play, the 2 players who can play in his 2 positions at the moment, and they're both world-class players. So it's not that we need to force him into the team really quickly, but we spent a lot of money on him and had a lot of high hopes on him. So he does need to start to come good sooner or later. Hopefully when he learns or starts to learn a little bit of Spanish, he'll start to pick up and settle in and start to look like the player that we're all pretty confident he's going to be. But we're 4-0 up now. This is the most confident, most efficient performance we've had in my time at Barcelona so far. This is what I was expecting to come in and do to teams. And now hopefully we can do it against Valencia, who last time I checked were top of La Liga. That is a lovely header from Ferran Torres. Is that being given? Referee, come on, it was a lovely finish. I think you should probably give us this one. Referee, finger in here. Come on now. You know what to do, referee. Course you do. 5-0. We're starting to right some of the wrongs from early on in this Champions League campaign. This is lovely football. It's the cross from Koundé, and that is a lovely header from Ferran Torres. I don't even know why that had to go to VAR. It looked clear as day. That was a good goal. 5-0, 5 different goal scorers, all very encouraging, but we're still not up in the top 8. It looks like Valencia have dropped down to 2nd in La Liga with Real Madrid. Okay, Real Madrid are fairly clear at the top, but Valencia is still tough opponents. And of course, Valencia are going to be the team that I go and see Barcelona play when I go and do the Barcelona matchday vlog. Of course, you saw the Tottenham matchday vlog yesterday. I do now have booked my trip to Barcelona, so I think it's next weekend, not the weekend just coming up, the weekend after. I fly to Barcelona for Barcelona versus Valencia, and it's going to be awesome. It'll be even more awesome if we beat them in the league now first. Well, we don't often have a look at this in videos. It doesn't often fall while I'm recording a video, but the goal 50 best players in the world 2030 has been announced. So thought it'd be interesting as we're getting quite deep into the save now to show you who the best players in the world are and also how many of them are at Barcelona. So Kylian Mbappe at 31 is your best player in the world, of 30-year-old Erling Haaland second, and then Kai Havertz at 31 is the third best player in the world. The highest rated regen or new gen is this guy, Fabrizio Corgi at Liverpool, who at 22 already has 29 caps for Italy at centre-back. Italy producing some very good defenders. You've got another new gen there in the shape of a German right winger, Umaro Diallo at 22 years old. And then Musiala, Tchouaméni. I didn't ignore Vinicius Junior. I see him there, but, you know, Real Madrid, they're our rivals. We can't mention their players. I mean, I did literally say Tchouaméni. Camavinga's there as well, Donnarumma. And then we have our top player, Gavi, the 11th best player in the world. And then lots of, as you would expect, players. Agostini, who we're struggling to get a tune out of, is considered the 15th best player in the world. Is another one of those very good young Italian defenders. He is definitely going to come good. Koundé, who is one of the reasons why Agostini's struggling for a spot in the team, because Koundé plays in his same position and he's only one spot behind him on the best players in the world list. And then Pedri is in there at number 20. We've got a few more new gens starting to appear now. Frankie de Jong still on the list at 33 years old. We've got Declan Rice still at West Ham at 31 years old, spent his entire career at West Ham, managed to get 121 England caps and be considered one of the world's top players, but never leaving West Ham is interesting. And then a few, I mean, this is all fairly standard stuff. Barella from Tottenham, I think he's the only Tottenham player on the list. And then Balde gets in there as well. And then a few more recognisable names. Ignacio Reyes, there you go, there is another Spurs player, Reyes, in there at number 48 on the list with 5 goals in 8 games for Spurs so far this season. And there is your summary of our 6 players who make it into that top 50 best players in the world. Only one of them I've signed. We'll fix that. But there we have it. See, don't get to do that very often. Wasn't that fun? Another little bit of fun as well. I mean, I'm finally showing you the dev center. It's gone on in the comments section long enough. Obviously, I looked at this when I first arrived and I keep an eye on it. It's Barcelona. It's one of the best youth systems in the country. The reason I haven't shown it in a video is because there's not really much here. There's nobody who's first team ready. There's nobody with 5-star potential. I guess the best prospect is this guy, but he's not going to be in the team yet. He might be at some point, but at 2 stars of current ability, he's not ready yet. His physical stuff is quite impressive, isn't it? He just needs to up his stamina, and he's going to be an absolute physical monster. But yeah, there's nothing I'm majorly excited about in there. If there was, believe me, you'd already know about it. But let's get into the Valencia game. We've made a couple of changes from the midweek team. We are going to bring Agostini in to play at the base of the midfield, but actually we're not going to play him as a playmaker because he can't really do it. We're just going to make him a normal, good old-fashioned defensive midfielder, and then Gavi can play as a playmaker out of central midfield and try the midfield looking a little bit like that. We've gone from having too many playmakers to trying to work out who to make the playmaker. We are sacrificing Gavi as a box-to-box midfielder, but hopefully he'll pull even more strings playing in a playmaker role. And Agostini, you never know, maybe that'll end up being his role. Maybe he's not a right back. Maybe he is going to be just a tough tackling defensive midfield player for us. We're also going to give a rare start to Manuel Santos, mainly because I want to work out if I want to sign him permanently. We've got him on loan from West Ham for the season. We're probably just going to send him back when we're done with him, but I like his versatility. I like the fact he can play anywhere across the back four. He's a big physical guy again, and I just want to have a little look at him. So we're going to play him at centre-back. And hopefully with Agostini as a proper defender in front of him, even if he's not very good, Agostini will protect him and mean that it shouldn't cause too much damage having him there in the team. There's always logic. There's some logic for you. A little bit of Kev logic. You love a little bit of Kev logic. Right, remember, Valencia are second in the league. We have finally made it up into the top 4. So this is a game that it would be quite nice for us to go and pick up a win in, because we want to really establish ourselves back up in this top four. And I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility as a Barcelona manager to hope to be in a title race before the season is over. So this is the kind of game that we need to be winning, or at least not losing, if we are going to insert ourselves in a title race. We had a decent piece of defending, decent clearance from Agostini there. I am going to be keeping a very close eye on him, because certainly with Koundé still playing very well at right back, maybe Agostini has got a better chance of forcing his way in at the base of the midfield. With De Jong being 34 years old now, I think. I have got Temmel as in mind as my successor for De Jong, just as a like-for-like, bringing a deep-lying playmaker into that position. But if this works with Gavi, or it could easily be Pedri playing as the playmaker a little bit further forward, maybe Agostini is going to end up playing here and offer us a little bit more defensive stability, especially because we have our wing-backs pushing on a lot. So it almost drops back into being a back three when these guys really push on, and Agostini can provide some proper defensive cover that you don't really get from playing De Jong or Temmel in that position. An hour gone, we've created absolutely nothing. So I don't know that this change around in the midfield has worked when it comes to a chance creation kind of thing. Gavi's actually got the highest average rating on the pitch. So he's not playing poorly in this playmaker role. I wonder if we're losing a little bit of attacking oomph from him not being a box-to-box midfielder. What we do gain, though, is passes like that one, which plays Aspas in, and we are now creating chances on the edge of the area. It falls to La Cruz and then Aspas, and it's bobbling around inside the area, and nobody can get a proper connection on it, and it ends up back with Agostini, who gives it back to Gavi, and then it's back with Agostini again. And now Baldi on the left-hand side, bursting into the penalty area, cuts it back, looking for La Cruz, but it's taken off the tip of his toe by the Valencia defender. We are looking like there's a goal coming at the moment. We're playing with a little bit more attacking purpose in this second half, and hopefully we can go and grab a win. I mean, Aspas has been so poor, 6.1 and a yellow card. The Aspas problem isn't solved yet, I don't think. So we're going to bring Torres on to play as a striker. After all, he did score midweek. Pereira can come on and play left back, and I think we probably stick Agostini back to right back. Hold on, we've done the wrong thing there. We're going to take Koundé off and bring on Temmel and turn Gavi back to be a box-to-box midfielder. Temmel can be the deep-lying playmaker, and just final 20 minutes playing with Gavi, hopefully getting up and joining the attack a little bit more and driving us forward to try and grab a late winner. He has been the best player on the pitch. He's enjoyed playing in that playmaker role, but we need him joining in with the attacks a little bit more than he has done today. And now he's tired, so we're going to take him off and bring on Pedri anyway. So Pedri, I think he can do box-to-box as well. Less effective at it. In fact, we'll swap him and La Cruz over. La Cruz can be the box-to-box. Pedri can play in that Mazzala role. And then we are going to take off Fati. Actually, we're going to bring on De Jong and stick Temmel out there on the right-hand side. De Jong can slot in there. And a goal would be really handy around about now, please. And thank you. Santos hasn't had a disastrous game. Bit early to say it, bit of a worry, but Ferran Torres has done well here. He's made it a little bit more complicated for himself by taking it a little bit wider. Probably should have just had the shot when he first got into the position. He was offside anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But it seemed weird for him to take it that wide and then try and turn it back in from such a difficult angle. But it's a ball over the top now for Valencia. They are in, and luckily, with their only real chance of the game so far, it's a little bit wasteful, going high and wide. A draw looks like it is going to take us out of the top four, so we could really use that late winner, and maybe it's going to come from a set piece. Ceballos with the corner, and Santos, who I imagine I've got a little bit of stick for playing, is that close to scoring us a winner. He hits the post right at the death. It ends 0-0. I guess on the positive spin, we've come to Valencia and not lost, but we have come here and dropped points. We're outside of the top four again temporarily. The board are happy, though. We're keeping the board happy, and that's the important thing. Right, we are now going to push on and play Tottenham. Tottenham in tomorrow's episode. Tottenham, who, by the way, are top of the Premier League. That rebuild we did there over the course of the last year has done wonders. Hang on. Top player in the Premier League is Endrick of Tottenham, who is on loan from Liverpool, joining permanently in the summer. Spurs have gone and got Hendrick. Well, maybe I can't take all the credit for what's going on at Tottenham, but they've now got Vincent, Hendrick, Sen, Reyes. I mean, Tamang definitely doesn't have a long-term home here, does he? They've gone from having Harry Kane to 4 incredible young strikers. Tottenham are going to be a problem for years to come, and it's largely my fault, and I don't feel good about it. We need to deal with them tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.